So the British Nationality Act of 1948 and the SS Windrush are two things which we're learning about today. The 1948 British Nationality Act is something that you definitely need to know of for your exam. It's one of those key dates that everybody has to be aware of, because it was the time at which the British government made it easier for immigrants to arrive in Britain. What it meant was anybody who was part of a former or current British colony would be allowed to move to England and gain British citizenship, which meant all the benefits that came with that, e.g. the NHS, free healthcare, pensions, a British passport, the right to gain work and employment, the right to housing benefit, all of these things which they didn't necessarily get in their own countries. And if you think of what the British Empire was, well, it's countries like Jamaica, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Canada. Now, people from countries like Australia and Canada, they were quite advanced, so they didn't necessarily come to Britain, though they did have the ability to. It was the countries where they were a little bit poorer, where people tended to come from. And the SS Windrush is just about the most famous boat that is concerning Britain and immigration that exists, because in 1948 the SS Windrush sailed from Jamaica to Britain, carrying around about 500 Jamaican people to come and gain this British citizenship to come and work in Britain. A number of these men had been in Britain before, serving in the armed forces, and they were just returning to find work. So yeah, and they were typical of the second wave of immigrants. The first wave was people who came to help in the war. This is the second wave of immigrants, and they came across to find work after the war. Remember, we needed immigrants because we needed to rebuild after the war. We'd lost about, well, over 400,000 war dead, or around about 400,000 war dead. So we needed to replace those people, but we also had terrible war damage. There was a labour shortage. There's the bell. Better go teach period 1. But yeah, there was a labour shortage, which meant there were more jobs than there were people to do them. So we needed these immigrants, so we passed that act. Immigrants thought, brilliant, we get a lot out of this, especially if they're from a poorer country. And across they came in their floods. And SS Windrush was the most famous example of a boat coming across. Came from Jamaica.